In a small country house lives a poor widowed woman and her only son, Jack. Jack tries to help his mother, but his efforts are never enough. He helps her plant corn and beans in the garden, but the soil is too sandy, so nothing grows. As time goes by, Jack and his mother become poorer and poorer. One day, Jack's mother tells him, "You must take the cow to market and sell her. The higher the price, the more money we will have to buy food." The cow is their only valuable possession, and they are both sorry to sell it. "I will do my best," says Jack, trying to remain cheerful. "Sit down and have some supper," says his mother. "You'll need your strength for tomorrow." Jack's mother serves him a thin soup with 3 peas floating in it. This is the last of their food. The two go to bed hungry. The next morning, Jack rises at dawn and sets off for town with the cow. Around his neck, Jack wears an old horn for luck. The horn once belonged to his father, who died when Jack was very young. While walking, Jack blows the horn and sings aloud. He feels proud to have such an important job. Jack comes across a few people along his path. No one is interested in buying his cow. "This cow?" asks the butcher, shaking his head. "Much too old. I have no use for your cow." "I have no use for your cow," says an old farmer as he keeps walking. After a while, Jack meets a stranger on the road. The man is dressed in interesting clothes. "What are you doing, young man?" asks the stranger. "I'm taking this cow to market," says Jack. The man looks carefully at the cow. "Such a fine cow, deserves a high price, and I'm the one to pay it. I will give you these 5 beans for the cow." Opening his hand, the man reveals 5 gloriously colored beans. Jack stares. They seem to hold all the shades of the rainbow. "This is a very high price. My mother will be pleased." Jack trades the cow for the beans, and then he hurries home to tell his mother of their good fortune. "Mother," calls Jack, "look what I got for the cow." Jack smiles as he pours the 5 colorful beans into her hands. "Beans!" cries his mother. "These are worthless. We cannot even make them grow." Sadly, she tosses the beans out the window. Jack's heart sinks. Because of him, they now have nothing, not even a single pea for supper. Too sad to eat anyway, Jack goes straight to bed. The next morning, something blocks the light from entering Jack's window. Puzzled, he goes outside. Towering over the house is a giant beanstalk. Jack follows it with his eyes all the way up to the clouds. "It must have grown from the beans," he said. "I knew they were special." Jack grabs his lucky horn and at once begins to climb the sturdy stalk. He goes higher and higher and higher. At the very top, he steps onto the clouds. Floating above him, he sees a lovely fairy. She has a warm, beautiful face. "Hello, Jack," she says. "Welcome to the kingdom of the clouds. You were very brave to climb the beanstalk. I am proud of your courage, and you will need courage, Jack." "Thank you," Jack says politely. He wonders how she knows his name. "I know who you are and how you got here," she says, "and what you must do." "I do not understand," says Jack. The fairy tells Jack that a mean giant rules the kingdom. A long time ago, when Jack was a baby, this giant killed his father and stole his treasures. To punish the giant, you must go to his castle and reclaim those treasures. This will not be easy, and that's why you must be brave." "Just how big is this giant?" Jack asks. "And how in the world can I possibly punish a giant?" "This is not a dream," she smiles. With a wave of her wand, the fairy disguises Jack as a beggar. She explains to him where to find the castle. Humbly, Jack thanks her. Then, with an old sack on his back, he walks off through the clouds to face the giant. Tired and hungry, Jack comes upon the huge castle after several hours. He takes a deep breath and bravely blows his horn. A woman as tall as a tree answers the door. "Hello," says Jack. "I'm a hungry beggar. Could you give me something to eat?" "Oh, no," says the woman. "You do not know what you are asking. I cannot let you inside." But Jack does not give up. "Oh, please, I'm very hungry, and I can see by your face that you are kind and generous." Believing herself to possess only the best qualities, she says, "Of course I am kind, and I happen to be very generous. I guess you can come in, but if my husband sees you, he will eat you. Consider yourself warned." Trying to be brave, Jack follows the woman into the kitchen. The oven, the table, and chairs soar over Jack's head. The woman serves him a hearty stew and thick bread. Forgetting his fears, Jack eats every bite. Suddenly, the table begins to shake. Footsteps as loud as thunder seem to be getting closer and closer. "My husband is coming," the woman says. "You must hide." Jack hides behind a curtain. He's shaking. "Fee, fi, fum, I smell a little boy," says the giant, entering the kitchen. "You are always smelling something," says the woman. "Sit down. Your dinner's ready. Enough of your silly nonsense. What would a boy be doing here?" The woman serves the giant a whole turkey. From his hiding spot, Jack watches as the giant devours his meal in 2 big bites. When not a bone is left, the giant calls to his wife, "Bring me my hen," and plates rattle in the cupboards. The woman quickly leaves the room. Moments later, she returns with a ruffled hen and places it on the table. "Lay!" commands the giant, clapping his hands. Each time the giant claps his huge hands, the old hen lays a fantastic gold egg. Jack understands that the hen once had belonged to his father. He takes a deep breath. When the giant drifts off to sleep, Jack steps out of hiding and stuffs the hen into his sack. He runs out of the castle and through the clouds. Jack and his mother are now living comfortably with the profits from the golden eggs. They buy a plot of land with fine soil. Soon their table overflows with corn, peas, tomatoes, beans, squash, and more. They never go to bed hungry. Jack's mother urges him to chop down the beanstalk, but Jack still thinks about the giant. He knows he must return to the castle. One morning, Jack kisses his mother and begins to climb the beanstalk again. As before, the fairy greets him at the top. "Hello, Jack," she says. "You are brave to return to the kingdom of the clouds. You must face the giant again." With a wave of her wand, she disguises him as a baker. Jack sets off for the castle. At the door, he takes a deep breath and blows his horn. "Yes," says the tall woman. "Good morning. I'm a baker selling fresh bread." "Perfect," says the woman. "Indeed, my husband eats 10 loaves at a time." "I have just 10 loaves left," Jack says. "I will bring them into your kitchen. A fine lady like you should not carry your own bread." Believing herself to be a fine lady, the woman leads Jack to the kitchen. While he struggles to place the bread on the high table, Jack hears the familiar sound of the thundering footsteps. "My husband!" shouts the woman. "He will use the bread to make a sandwich of you." She hides Jack. "Fee, fi, fum, I smell a little boy," says the giant. His voice is loud as a roar. My, what an imagination you have," says the woman. "You smell this fresh bread, that's all." Eyeing the bread, Jack watches as he pops the loaves into his mouth, one at a time. When even the crusts are gone, the giant says, "Fetch my gold." The woman leaves and comes back with a heavy sack. She turns it upside down, pouring gold coins onto the table. One by one, the giant counts each coin and returns it to the sack. And then he falls asleep. Jack knows the gold belonged to his father. With a deep breath, grabs the heavy sack. He runs from the castle, through the clouds, and down the beanstalk. Now Jack and his mother are very wealthy. With the gold coins, they're able to buy a strong young cow and help their neighbors plant bountiful gardens. But Jack still thinks of the giant. He kisses his mother, takes a deep breath, and slowly climbs back up the beanstalk and again meets the fairy. "Brave Jack," she says, "you must visit the castle a final time." And she waves her wand and disguises him as a chimney sweep. Carrying a broom, Jack walks to the castle door. "Greetings," he says to the woman. "I'm a chimney sweep. Could you use my services?" "Well," says the woman, "the chimneys are dirty, but I can't let you in. Once I let in a beggar, and he stole my magic hen. And then I let in a baker, and he stole a sack of gold." "Well, who will clean the chimneys?" Jack asked. "You're too fine a lady for such dirty work." "You're right," she says, and leads Jack to the kitchen. He begins cleaning the fireplace, which is so big he can stand inside. Jack hears thundering footsteps. "Quick, hide," shouts the woman, "or my husband will roast you for lunch." Jack jumps into a pot. "Fee, fi, foam, I smell a little boy," says the giant. "Your nose is playing tricks on you again," says the woman, sounding impatient. "Bring me my harp," says the giant, sitting. "Play," commands the giant. The harp begins to play. After the music lulls the giant to sleep, Jack takes a deep breath, quietly steps from the pot, and seizes the harp. "Help!" the harp cries. The giant wakes. He looks up and sees Jack with the harp in his hands. "Who dares to steal my harp?" he shouts. Jack runs as fast as he can, but behind him he hears the familiar thundering footsteps. He runs for the beanstalk. The giant follows, the beanstalk swaying under his weight. His mother sees him and fetches an axe. With one swing, Jack chops down the beanstalk, and the giant falls out of the clouds. Freed from the giant's spell, the harp turns into a fairy. She sings sweetly for Jack and his mother, who live happily ever after. And that's the story of Jack and the Beanstalk.